Hey guys, Alex here, otherwise known as Clash with Stella. In today's video, we are going to be jumping in to show you guys how you can build a Town Hall 14 Legends League base. I was joined by Sunmaster live over on our Twitch, twitch.tv/blueprintcoc, if you guys would like to check us out live. But Sunmaster, let's let him introduce himself and he can take it away.
Hey guys, I'm Master. I usually prefer starting off with the town hall and the cannons. The cannons are a perfect template. Like, just mind you, these cannons are not going to be the final page. These are just a template, so I can make sure everything's not reachable and stuff. Much easier than I've seen people actually counting the tiles much faster than that. A cannon and a single tile gap. That's enough space for my trash buildings outside. And
So I'm assuming those cannons you've just popped down, those are just kind of placeholders at the moment.
yeah, those are just, as I said, those really help in gauging how much space you need to leave because a cannon and one tile gap means it's unreachable for the queen. So that makes it pretty easy to figure that out.
So why don't you tell us a little bit while you're building about some of your background in building, how long you've kind of been making bases for, what town halls you started
Uh,
with?
uh, I've been building bases for myself for a really long time, but really got into base building when the pandemic started and like everything was on lockdown. So that's when I really got into playing Clash seriously, into base building. Um, Pretty much had Itsu as my idol back then. So you can imagine how well nice it must have felt when Itsu used one of my bases and actually left a comment about how good it was.
Yeah, that's pretty OP. It's such a big name in the community. Recognizing your handiwork
Yep,
is really nice.
the that was a fun day, I can definitely say.
So at the moment, do you want to talk us through your process with the base building? I've noticed you're just kind of setting out a few wall placements. You know, you've got your single target Inferno up there at the top section.
Yep. For the anti three, actually for any kind of bases, I prefer to start off with the town hall and then make the skeleton around it with the key defenses. Then it's pretty easy to just fill everything up from there.
So
So we can have it like
what kind of CCs do you tend to run on these anti 2-star bases? Is there set CCs, or does it really depend on what kind of trophies and stuff you're at in Legends?
uh, you, you mean the CC composition? It actually depends on the kind of base. Um, for example, many a times if the base is actually depends on what the base is prone to. If the base is prone to smash style attacks, I really like. Actually, it's been quite my favorite recently to have your super minions and rocket loons. Uh, if it's more likely to be on the tail end or the front end, and your heroes take it, then a hound. A hound's really good at distracting on the back end. So it totally depends on the actual base.
So what kind of compartment are you building at the moment?
What do you, could you rephrase that?
Like, is this going to be for Infernos, or is this going to be for the Eagle, or?
Yeah, no, these are for the infernos. The infernos are much smaller, so smaller compartments work.
And do you tend to lean towards more multi-target Infernos in the core, or do you like to stick with singles?
More multis.
Yeah. Remember, if you guys have any questions at all in the chat, feel free to ask Sunmaster. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to answer them. So we've got a question in the chat here asking about your inspiration. Do you look at other base builds and kind of think, oh, that's a really good idea, I like what they've done there? Or do you always find in your base builds that you're kind of, it's your own personal build, you're not kind of taking any inspiration or anything like that?
No, I definitely take an inspiration. When you're building a ton of bases a month, it's kinda difficult, not gonna lie, to stay original without taking some inspiration from other builders. But I do put in my best effort to make sure none of the bases look same by any means, because that's not nice.
So is this more of a kind of teaser style of base that you're building here?
Uh, yeah, it actually no, it's more of an anti 2.5, what you'd call it. The town hall's not on the outside, but it's not at the center of the base either. These bases are kind of fun, well, unless you're the hit attacker. Then, if you're the attacker, feel free to consider a change in job. No, just
So,
kidding.
so for this specific base, did you have any inspiration? Were there any base builds you looked at that you use those ideas from, or do you just get does?
Actually,
Sorry, on you go.
actually, I did. I did. I actually saw a base in Legends the other day, so used that as an inspiration.
So we've got
You're saying
Zorro in the
anything?
chat asking who's your favorite coordinator.
Uh,
I mean, you've got to say Zorro, right?
Definitely.
Because he's in the chat.
Um, okay, so that's a bit of hmm. Can we officially chalk that up to admin abuse?
Nah,
I
nah. I
don't
think
think so,
I think
right?
it's just banter in it.
Uh, uh, I don't think I can say who my favorite coordinator is, but I can say Zoro is my favorite role. And sorry, not sorry, Zoro.
So how long do you usually find it takes you
Now
to kind
comes
of build up these
the
bases?
hard part. Uh, Depends. Usually, 30 minutes to 45. Usually, the most complicated part in the entire build is getting your mm, getting the initial skeleton of the base done. Once that's done, it's easy pickings. Not gonna lie.
So when it comes to your own builds, do you find there's like a kind of like pattern you tend to follow? Is there always the same kind of things you tend to do with the same maybe defenses in the compartments? Like I saw you had your Inferno with the town hall there. Is that something you usually tend to do, or do you usually find every build just has something completely different?
No, unfortunately, I must uh, confess it. Every builder I feel has their own significant touch, I'll say, something they just tend to do in every build. So yeah, I'd say it happens. I do it. Probably most other builders do it as well. Can't say much against that. One major thing for Legends bases is usually you don't have to care about zap value. Not too many people there to bring zaps. So that's a easier part about Legends bases.
So we've got a question in the chat here asking about how many key defenses you can tend to give away in one compartment. So we've noticed here in your top compartment up at 12 o'clock, you've got the Town Hall, you've got an Inferno Tower, and you've got the Double Expo. So it's quite a heavy compartment. What sort of compartments can you get
Yeah,
away with using?
first of first of all, we don't consider the expos as that important of a building in Town Hall 14. So we can have expos reachable usually in the core, but try not to have the expos reachable from the outside unless it's a teaser base. And usually not more than two. Sometimes we will have two major defenses from one compartment. That's by design, but usually not more than that. More than that, it just gives opportunity to the opponent to exploit it. So after my so usually for me after my town hall, my major defenses air sweepers. I try to focus on the air defenses, the wizard towers, and the heroes. My ultimate goal is if I can have most of my wizard towers outside the range of air defenses, but usually it's fine if you have like three of them outside the range of air defenses and two within, especially in this case because most people, sorry, my voice broke. Most people in Legends, they prefer to attack from the back side of the base. So usually, either if they do a Lalo, the hounds end up on either this one or this of the. Let me see if I can. Yeah. So usually your hound will either end up on this or this air defense, pathing something like if this part is destroyed, then it will path like this, or vice versa. So, mm, so that's why we can have a wizard tower to kill off all the minions there, but then it's hit and miss, and there's also a trade-off because if you put your wizard towers to kill off minions, the wizard tower shots are most probably going to be tanked by the hound, and your loons are probably going to go through. So it's a cost benefit analysis you'd have to go into. Another thing I usually tend to is in if there are obvious blizzard spots, I definitely put the bomb towers there. But since I don't see anything too obvious here, I put my bomb towers say here and here roughly. And in legend spaces, the queen and the RC I put about here, they have a very big function because the queen and the RC are really good at picking off any troops at the back end. And for ground troops, they're also very good at luring them outside through the channels, so they don't, so enemy troops don't get a direct path to the town hall.
So you building this base for a specific trophy range?
Mm, Not really. I try to make it kind of difficult for most common strats because otherwise doesn't really work out well. Recently, I've also been putting a mortar around here because of the flame flinger, so the flame flinger doesn't snag up too much value. Other than that, I also try to have at least one storage per major defense compartment, important ones like the town hall and get to
So we know that recently
again.
Super Dragons have been incredibly strong in the Legends League meta, but obviously they recently got a nerf. Is that still something that you're trying to defend against, or have you found that now you're maybe trying to defend more against like a Lalo or anything like that?
I'm concentrating a lot more on Lalo, honestly, but Super Dragons aren't out of the scene yet. They're still very prevalent, so you can't count them out yet. One more thing I've found is it's very important to put battle builder huts in the town hall compartment. Uh, I've had I've seen some places where some where just because of the absence of a battle builder, the match has been lost. So that's rough, obviously.
So we've got a question in chat here asking about if it might be wiser to try and isolate the Inferno Towers in the core a little more, just because usually if they're coming in with a Lalo, those balloons will path directly from either the sweepers or the bomb towers onto those Inferno Towers.
Yeah, usually actually there's one more thing I do. It can usually if Lalo is a concern, then we can just do this, and most likely Lalo won't path through. Then we can just put our bomb tower.
So we've got a question in chat here from Charlie. He's asking about your town hall compartment. He's saying the splash damage from the flame flinger onto some of those defenses next to the town hall, so the archer towers for example, the splash damage would actually activate the town hall. Is there a specific reason you maybe built for that, or
Actually, the flame flinger in this case, I'd not worry about too much because there are two ground bows next to it, and then no one really carries zaps to zap them all out. So it isn't a big deal in this case. But yeah, definitely if you weren't going to have those two expos, more spread out compartments definitely better. So this would be my basic skeleton for this. This looks good for now. The actually pretty simple part of placing the trash. I usually prefer to have these 6 defenses, if you can see at the bottom, two of each to put on the outside. Otherwise, it's more or less okay. The archer towers usually go around here to knock off the corners. The
Do you usually try and use the multi-mortar to really defend against the flame flinger? Because I know End was talking about how powerful he thinks the multi-mortar can be if it's placed correctly to defend against the flame flingers and stuff.
Yeah, multimortars can be used against the flame flingers. It also depends on the probability someone's actually going to use a flame flinger at a specific position. Multimortar is definitely more powerful. A certain bases like this one where it's a bit more difficult to trap the sneaky goblin sneaky goblin bomb, I prefer to put a multi-mortar about here. So even with sneaky goblin blimps, if the ground troops that don't get killed, a triple shot of the multi-mortar usually kills the sneaky gobs. So that's again something you'll have to decide which works, what works for you. And then for the trash buildings, I usually try to alternate uh, between a storage and a non-storage to make sure the attacker doesn't get too much of an opportunity to sneaky gob for funnel, use sneaky goblins for a funnel. Just build out.
At what point do you start to think about your trap placement? Is that something you go into a build kind of knowing you're going to bait out a specific entry, or is it something that as you build you kind of go, oh, this would be a good place for a Tesla farm, or for my red bombs or anything like
Usually,
that?
usually I'd actually finish the main layout of the base and take a good look at the base. Then the question would be which attacks do I think will be most common on this, which entries, and then try my best to bait those entries. I'll try my best to explain that here in a minute. Give me a few seconds.
Tree, just to answer your question there, I think it's the case that Sunmaster mentioned earlier that you can't really defend all strategies, but what he is trying to focus on, one of the main strategies is Lalo. So the base might be prone to a different strategy, but at the end of the day, you cannot defend everything. There's always going to be a strategy that can beat it. But Sunmaster, what Shree was asking there is he says he thinks the base is really prone to super bowlers. He thinks that they would be able to smash through the base. Anything that you're maybe potentially looking at to do to try and defend Super Bowlers, which are quite popular in Legends League?
Yeah, I believe people might come of that opinion. It does look better than one of the better strategies to hit this particular base with, but we can try our best to bait it. So, two of the major hurdles for Super Bowler Smash in this space would be the foreground expos. At a clan castle, I prefer a super minion rocket loon CC in this clan castle.
So a couple of things just to ask. One of the things we just pointed out in chat is in your town hall compartment, your archer towers aren't actually symmetrical. They're one tile off. And the other thing was in the core, was the plan to have one multi and one single, or was it to have two multis?
No, actually, I haven't come to that yet.
Ah, okay, no worries, no worries.
Yeah, I'm actually changing the air, or ground bow structure, the sweeper placement, and the single multi structure. I usually have an idea, but it also comes to the trapping part where when I start trapping it and thinking about what strategies might go, then it becomes much easier to determine. So, and I fixed that asymmetrical archer. Well, let's. Okay, so here's the base. Now we can start thinking about trapping it. So let's take a screenshot. Now I can hopefully explain. So one of the first thing I've been pretty accustomed to looking at is super drags. Even with the buff, they're still pretty prevalent. My major thought process is there are two places someone can hit. Like this is one major spot someone can attack from. This is the other. Actually scrap actually scrap that. People don't just looking at common attacks, people tend to attack from this side and from here. So these are the two options. Now looking at the value going into here, the town hall is a very bad thing to go into actually, but this entry looks prime because go into the scatter shot, the eagle, the infernos, and he can always send a blimp across. So that's my first thought here. For that I can, so we'll start off with that. Oh my gosh. So that's what I'll start off baiting with for the blimp, for the town hall blimp. Um, Easy. I'll just put my nado trap here and put down the red bombs. This usually works in most cases. And then we already determined that it will be most probably coming in from the bottom side, so we can put down a few seeking air mines to deter that as well. Heavy. Just notice that I'm putting it heavy on this bottom 3 to 6 o'clock side because that's the most common entry. Then we then now I can think about the next common strategy. That would be a Super Bowler Smash. Super Bowler Smash, most people would try to say Warden Walk this and put the king on to go here and then try to smash straight in. So we already have the two ground wars. I'm going to put a rocket loon CC here. So now the part we have to bait is now the only part left to actually bait is the Warden Walk here, out here. Coincidentally, most people who are doing a Sui Lalo would also preferably Sui here the and then try to force their heroes into here and here. So this compartment looks very ideal to bait. So that's what we're going to do next. So like we just discussed, I can start off baiting this compartment entry. This works well both for Lalo and for Warden Walk. So we'll put the Tesla farm down here with two ground bows and just lone seeking airmine here to hopefully catch one of the healers as they're dropped in a hurry. As I said, hopefully we can't figure out exactly what we'll do. Next thing we bait is the wizard blimp or blizzard. So let's take a screenshot again and let's see. The three most common places to blimp would be here and here if you had a super wall breaker, and it tried to put a hound here and go straight into. Actually, you can't put a hound here. So some people might try to warden and put a blimp here, but this part's not going to be very common. Don't think people can actually try that. So the most likely blimp's going to be here and here. So we can now get to baiting those. For that, I just put a giant bomb, and two small bombs. The bomb tower is also there to do its magic, so don't think need to worry anymore about that. Our next threat comes in the form of a sneaky wizard blimp. Sorry, not wizard, a sneaky blimp or a safe blimp. So we can just lightly bait that. So now that's baited. The last and final thing I'd think about is your classic hybrid attack. It's very rare now, but some customers usually want that baited, so I'll do it anyways here. So just let's take a look. For hybrid, most people will eventually uh, will queen charge the town hall because you can see there's no obvious paths here. There's a channel for the queen to do her queen stuff and walk out. So people definitely won't be queen walking. They will queen walk into here. So the rocket loon CC is really good in combination with two ground expos and a single. So that would be very difficult in itself. So no need to do anything to that. We can place, since we have one seeking airmine, we can just place it somewhere here here to catch the queen's healers off guard if they make it through, and then we can just focus on the hybrid. We have so many spring traps to go, so many spring traps, we can just focus that mostly on the hybrid. So let's get to that. So as we discussed, most probably your hybrid's going to come in from the 3 o'clock section. People just like it. So I'm just going to put my spring traps to bait it. Always remember to put the spring traps usually between two defenses and on the edge. that usually catches the hogs. And once in a while, you can place a spring trap or two uh, two two storages to catch the miners. But usually, we focus on the hogs more. So that's that. And now we have four giant bombs left. So one of the parts I did not do before is bait fully bait the Sui into this. For that, we also need to consider the king and queen's abilities. So the abilities spawn these barbarians and archers. So a couple giant bombs should usually cover for them, and then the other we can just put in a double giant bomb combination for any hybrid or hogs. As we said, put the seeking air mine down, and since we have to spare skeleton traps, we can just place them here to annoy any dragon attackers or lalo attackers coming through here. Especially, we need to make sure it's at the edge of the clan castle range and not within the first few tiles of the clan castle range, as if they are in the first, they're pretty much wasted because in a dragon attack or a lalo attack, people preemptively drop their poison on the town, on the clan castle. So this is one thing we need to watch out. And with that, here's our base build complete. Uh,
Awesome. Looking really good. So a couple of questions we've got here in the chat. Not specifically relating to this base, but one of them is asking for someone who's not into base building, how would they get into base building? What would be their kind of, the building blocks, the starting out things to learn for base building?
um, First of all, I'd say read guides. I think a few people, Red John and a few other great builders, made a Town Hall 14 guide a while back. Read it, learn about the basics of base building, and most importantly, what I do myself regularly, grab bases from pro matches, grab bases from here, from Legend League, try to analyze them. Why did someone do this, or why did someone do that? Why did someone put this defense here? Why did someone put that defense there? That helps a lot.
Okay, great advice. And another question, I guess it's kind of relating to the previous update, which was not really focused at all in the main village. We obviously got the clan capital. In an upcoming update, is there any specific changes you would like to see on maybe defenses or on offense?
Mhm. Could you just repeat? I didn't get you.
Yeah, no worries. So obviously in the previous update that was mainly based on clan capital. So in the in the next update, if it was to be on the main village, what changes would you like to see to defenses or to attacking troops?
Uh, Definitely a buff to defenses, but since it's not been very long since the latest update, I'd still like to see how the defenses are going along. In the pro matches, the defenses still seem to be as tough as ever, honestly. So let's see, probably a buff to the defenses, a couple more traps would be really awesome. But then again, there's nothing exactly specific I can say about that.
Fair enough, no worries. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the base that you just built here. So if you were to attack this base, so why don't you take away the traps and stuff? So if this was going to be in scout mode, so
Yeah.
if this was a base you've just found in Legends League, what would be your plan? What sort of, first of all, what strategy do you take into your Legends hits, and what would you do on this base?
Uh, I've been pretty much into spam, so I just spam e-drugs or super drugs at the moment. But the I usually am using super drags lately, so
Fair enough. So how would you go
knowing
about hitting this base?
as I already discussed how most people would hit that base, that's what most likely, but knowing what I know about my base, I'd actually um do your Starja Star Styles. I think it was Starja, his style of super drags, where he let the super drags get the town hall and put a stone slammer instead. That attack has been pretty strong, and I think that will work against this base because it isn't geared towards defending that.
So I've noticed you've left. We talked a little bit about the multi and the single target Inferno in the core. I've noticed you've left them the way you had them. So only running one multi-target Inferno in a base, that is not too common from what I've seen in base building, especially when trying to defend against Lalo and stuff like that. Was that just a mistake, or?
Yeah, that I just
no,
overlooked
no
that.
worries. I thought it was maybe something like strategic you've done that for. But that's all good. Definitely double multi is a really good strategy to look at. And I know you spoke about most people tend to hit in towards that 3 o'clock compartment, coming in with hybrid, or maybe if the queen charges the town hall or something like that, and then coming in with their Lalo. Is that why you've put the Tesla farm and stuff like that? So their initial entry into the base with their main portion of the attack is quite difficult and quite heavy.
Yep, yeah, it really helps catch the attackers off guard, and if you're lucky, they might even waste a few spells there trying to get that. So that's another win. And if they try to save on spells, there's a good chance the Sui will fail and they'll have to deal with that compartment again on the back end. Might just make the difference.
Awesome. Cool. All right. So anything other than what you've already said about this base that you want to finish up by saying?
Not really.
Cool. So we've already hit the 1 hour mark, so it's totally up to you if you want to go ahead and do another base build, or if you want to call it a day there.
I believe I'll call it a day. It's getting kinda late here.
Yep, not a problem at all. Alright, so for you guys in the chat, if you guys are subscribed over on our Twitch, you guys will get early access to this base through on our Discord server. If you guys are not subs, then you'll need to wait for that YouTube video to come out with the links down in the description below. But that should be out hopefully early next week, so keep your eyes peeled for that. If you guys do want some other bases from Sunmaster, of course you can pick those up for yourselves over from either our website or jump on over to our Discord server. But Sunmaster, thank you so much for coming on, man. This has been a real experience. I've learned a lot about base building, especially when it comes to Legends base building. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on, man. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, it's been a pleasure for me too.
Single day that passes without you on my mind. Not even 1 minute can end up before you come around. I yearn for the days when I see your face.